All right, everybody, welcome back to the Daily Trading Recap. It is Thursday, the 12th of August, 2021. Keeping those red days rolling, baby. We are on a roll. I tell you what, and so is SPY. Still chugga choo-chooing all the way to new all-time highs once again. Can't stop, won't stop. This thing is absolutely ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. That's what it is. Some market internals on the day before we get into it. NASDAQ's still a little bit low on dollar volume. We're still only 40 minutes after market close, but $168 billion volume on the day. That's pretty low. Even NYSE below $200 billion volume. Pretty insane. OTCs, though, above $2 billion. That's good to see that they're still maintaining those types of levels. No shorts again for me today, and a little bit of paper trading, kind of just trading or practicing more degenerate type of plays, or what I would consider, what I feel like the bigger red names are doing, the millionaires are doing in chat. Just playing different strategies, obviously not doing them well, of course, and still just taking a few paper cuts on the long side as well. Started off with FULC in the pre-market. So this is the offering boy. They had 424B5 put out yesterday before market open, announced all this different stuff, proposed offering. Then after the close, was that yesterday? Hold on. Yeah, so during market hours they came out with the offering, and then after hours of yesterday, they officially announced it and came out with all the specific data that it was a $125 million offering at a price of $19 a share, expected to finish up on the 16th of August. So really the trade for me on this one was today as a kind of a semi-failed offering dump. Seeing how well it was holding up pre-market here, I was just going kind of all in on the fact that there's going to be a lot of more shorts piling into this, thinking, oh, okay, we'll just play the easy trade, looking for the downside on this one as it's, coming around these levels, play like this first red day type of trade. It'll be a nice downtrend. So I was trying to play the reverse of that, seeing especially how well it was holding without a lot of volume. It would get these, big perks to the upside. This one, of course, had a big volume, but we would get like this without a lot of volume. We'd get this without a lot of volume. It was just an interesting price action to me, and I kind of wanted to be a part of it. So took a pretty decent sized position, not huge, just filling in little parts here. And then as we get to market open, so yeah, just filling kind of randomly wherever I saw best to think, okay, I kind of want to fill the bottom here, get some more here. Just establish a position that I felt comfortable because it was still kind of holding this same trend into the morning bell. So then as we got into market hours, started off pretty slow. Of course, we're printing a lot of volume, and I didn't really take the first minute as much weight of what it was going to do. Of course, what I wanted to see was an immediate jump to the upside of shorts getting squeezed, and then we see a huge spike to this pre-market high here, maybe come close to that 22, which seems pretty far off looking back at it now, but that's really what I was looking for, and that's the position I developed the trade for. But then it was just pretty slow selling and bleeding off and continuing going, and we're getting bottom wicks on these red candles here. It's not like it was fast printing or huge volume coming in, and then just it forced me to get out. I could have seen this reversing a little bit, maybe coming back to touch VWAP and then selling off a little bit more, which I was pushing my risk a little bit lower and lower with how slow it was moving to because of that. But then it just kept on dying and dying off. So the shorts went out on that one today in the morning. Not a huge percentage, awesome move on that one if you were a short trading it around this point. But that was the morning session, and then price reclaimed. Came back to VWAP, a little bit of a reject here, but then pushed back up again and slow grind the rest of the day. It kind of forced me into this weird, awkward situation of, as I'm seeing it around this time frame of, oh geez, okay, so we're back above pre-market levels, really coming close, especially around this time frame from yesterday as well. Looking on a little bit more of a 5-minute time frame. Gosh, yeah, kind of putting in a base around here. That range held well. Now it's here. Do I get long? I just resorted to watching it, seeing what it was going to do, and of course, that'd be a hard hold trying to watch this the whole day for how slow it grinded to the upside, but that was the move, the uptrend today. So I'll be interested to see what it wants to do going on from here, because it did have $270 million volume today versus the $125 million offering that came out yesterday. So yeah, I don't know if it's summer months. I don't know if this is just different than what I feel like I've charted or seen before, but just took a little paper cut initially on that long today of like $25. I think that was nothing insane whatsoever. And I'm certainly interested to see what it wants to continue to do, because this is a failed offering dump. It's still 19 was the magic number, and we're still at 22.5. We will see. PBTS was another big mover on the day. So looking at, I'll get to this trend line, which is interesting as well too in a little bit. PBTS, big percentage mover in the morning. News catalyst of, let's see here, expanding its blockchain business to engage in cryptocurrency mining using a Bitcoin buzzword. It is a Chinese sketchy company, software tech, float of 7.9 million, reported short interest of 15.94%. So also half a billion dollar volume on the day as well. But this was the one that, as I saw it in the pre-market, I went coming off of yesterday thinking I wanted to try and trade more of these on the short side after they were showing weakness, maybe from a morning spike. This one I immediately identified and kind of biased myself a little bit to say, ooh, this could be a nice one to the short side. So I didn't even try to look at this one as a dip and rip setup, and it didn't even really offer a dip and rip. It just kind of immediately spiked. A little bit of consolidation above VWAP here, and then continued on a little bit more. This is really a scalpy kind of trade, taking it from this 1.75 area to 2. Yeah, that's your 10%, but man, these dip and rips, you want to be playing for 20% at least, I feel like, because they can have so much potential to the upside for the new trends they're developing in that way. So at this point, I started, these are all paper shorts in my head that I was making of, okay, this looks like a little bit of weakness here. We're getting a pullback here. This could end up dumping back to VWAP. No, we're still chopping around. Okay, high day reject on this red candle with a decent sized volume candle here. This could be the dump back down. So I got another little mental short position at that point, and then squeeze to new high a day. Obviously, a lot of other shorts were thinking the same thing. They got screwed out. I, of course, walked away scot-free. I don't think and being the degenerate mental paper trade, that's what this ability offers me to see of, what would happen if I just went so stupid and risk management loose to let this thing continue running past obvious risk levels to set. Big spike, then pullback, and just more choppiness. So I made another mental short here at this point, and then this candle here was another nice top wick to the downside for more sellers overhead that pushed it lower. Failed to really crack VWAP, but then eventually did rolling over a little bit and dumping here. It was at this point that said, okay, here's strength to the downside. Maybe I should be covering at least some mentally here if I did have a position on. And then there was another voice that said, if this thing's really going to fade the rest of the day, if it's going on the downside, this is, from $2, this isn't even really, that's 5% from 2 to 1.9. Why would you be taking off any of your position at that point? And the realization too of, well, this isn't a 100%, always 10% type of trade either. It's similar to trying to play these to the upside of, if there's no strength to continue pushing this on, you've really got to take what the market's giving you. And the same thing with the downside on these ones. That's what I realized today too of, you got to be taken off into strength whenever you can. Liquidity is all that really matters. And the price, of course, price action is king. To say, man, that's your best opportunity. You can, and just easing off of that big position size, it's just going to free up so much more mental capital in order to be able to hold through this little touch back to VWAP and see, okay, evaluating what's it doing here. We're back above VWAP, but it could still go down, all these different points, whatever. So that was just a little mental paper trade short that, okay, yes, it worked out. At this point, I would be profitable, but nobody really to the long side or the short side made huge on this ticker today, unless you played that super scalp immediately from the pre-market to selling right away here, or if you were able to somehow get shares around this point by this consolidation and sell perfectly into this 1 minute high a day break and then sell back down. Interesting ticker and chart on this one today. I also tried to especially play this one. I played it in a decent little size. Those are off. trying to play a little bit in the afternoon here for just how well it was holding, and developed like a, what is that, $400 position size, just under $500. That was my confidence level in it of, okay, we sold off, but now we're still right back around these high a day range-ish point of view. So I'm thinking, God, this could get maybe a spike still in market hours here, or at least in after hours. We could see some shoot up quick, and even if it does pull back, I'm looking to take off right away. Chopped around once again, and sure enough, it did spike a little bit right away in the first minute of after hours, which I sold and took off like half of that position, and just ended up dumping back down and then cut it as it was breaking this level. This candle here I wanted to mention as well too, because my not really developing the trade parameters beforehand when I was just kind of blindly sizing up with all these different entries. This candle here became 204 became my risk, basing it off of this point and not really wanting to do 205, that kind of roundish number as a risk level. So then I made it 204, and this candle specifically, as we were starting to get a little more selling pressure, hits 204 perfectly and then bounces immediately right back up to like 207, 206, 208. And so that was another reflection point too of, okay, so it was pretty good that I didn't have my stop set in immediately, because, or didn't have stop set in place beforehand, because I feel like that happens a lot to me in these situations of I just put a stop in at whatever random arbitrary number. I just get hit like that perfectly, and there's still plenty of room to the upside. That's not the end of the trend at that point, versus putting your stop in to protect yourself against a price action that moves so rapidly because of the volatility and the dollar volume that you need to have a stop in to make sure that you get filled at a specific price or specific range faster than you can click a button when it moves against you. That's really what I am looking for when I'm trying to put a stop in on these. And this ticker was just so slow moving. We're getting fractional prints the whole day on this thing too, which was sad and weird to see. You don't want to see that on these listeds. So good little lesson there on why you don't necessarily need to put stops in if it's not just going crazy volatile, or if the price action is not just ludicrous that you can't click fast enough to get out when you want to. This trend line here, looking at B-Rock in the millionaire chat, who is, I guess he's another millionaire as well. He sent this in the chat, this perfect trend line that was broken to the upside around, this is 11 o'clock time frame here, Eastern time. Finally cracked a VWAP, and apparently this is also a Dan Irish style of play, which I don't feel like I've ever seen out of him, but I'll have to do a little bit more research on that. Price action broke to the upside on this and also held perfectly kind of on this. It's so funny and strange to me how these trend lines develop and how perfectly you can place them sometimes, coming from this high a day, and then we get these wicks here that perfectly touch off of that. Then this VWAP reclaim here that touches and falls off of that. And then we get the break above, and then the support of that price action as well too, off of that trend line. That was so funny to see as well. So very interesting ticker today on the type of price action it was doing. I'm taking off all of these. I don't know really what it does tomorrow. Maybe we just get a little bit of a sell-off tomorrow. I don't think I would actually trade it. I may take a few paper trades if it's opening weaker and it gets a little bit of morning spike. I can short into some of those highs, trying to pick tops once again. But that was just a huge one, and that was like an $8 loss I took on this after covering in some nice profits at like 220 on that one and cutting the rest for a little bit of a loss. Really no biggies whatsoever, just more learning experience, more time in the tank, which I feel is the most valuable thing I need to be doing still in my trading career at this point. ACY, I remember this ticker from a while back. This is a pretty nice spiker. Obviously it doesn't have nice trend lines, but pretty recently we had a 3-day, 4-day move here, 3-day sell-off to the downside, but now we're kind of back in an uptrend, or a little curl back here after that Wednesday yesterday. So same thing here, kind of saw this one holding, consolidating around this point. Got a few shares just because it's green and it's holding, and it is a low float. This is 1.1 million float. The company profile, it's an American leasing and finance services to regional airlines. So again, no news catalyst at all to launch this thing. So really just playing short squeezes and low floats on this one. Holding well, and it was just a slow grinder to the upside. I stupidly screwed myself out. Again, randomly setting kind of an arbitrary risk level, trying to set it just above as price action was moving beyond my entry. And then I was saying, okay, if it comes back down, then I'll just put it, right above my entry so I can take it off, whatever, and I don't have to take a loss. Well, stupid me, it was moving so fast, it cut below my original entry. So that was a good learning lesson too of, if you truly think it's going to move that fast, then yes, put the stop in, but put it in beyond what you think you really need from it. So that was stupid, but it was holding well again and then pushing even higher to new high days. And I said, I got to get in this thing. It could still, this thing could go to 36 by the end of the day. We have all these technical levels from this little run up here, especially that previous high day. This thing's got plenty more opportunity. Sure enough, it did. Slow grind up to this yesterday's high day. And then I watched it kind of peel, turn around all the way back to VWAP, and then I ended up having to cut it here at this point. Another cup and handle back above VWAP, and then quick move to the upside once again to shoot out all the shorts that were trying to get in off this move. In reality, and try and trade this, if I did have a big position size, I would have definitely been holding from my first entry, not have gotten out around this point, taken off some at this high a day point, because that would have been beyond 10%, at least at a minimum. Taken off a lot here, and then totally just been willing to sit back and risk entry point again. If it's going to pull back all the way there, then it's definitely dead, but still giving it plenty of room to breathe and do exactly this type of move here and selling into this move. Perfectly touched off of 36, by the way, as well. That's interesting. So that's shoulda, coulda, woulda what I would have done at that point. And yeah, closing a little bit lower. I don't really know if it has legs to continue moving on or if it just does nothing at that point. But ACY. XBIO, another mention. This one was kind of a morning dump setup. If you were up that early in the morning, that would have been a killing. Trading this from 4.3 right away down to 3.80. Of course, that's 1:52 Arizona time, 4:50 Eastern time. Otherwise, it was holding decently okay in pre-market. Yeah, you get a little bit of a curl back above VWAP, but then reject. But market hours is really what's all that matters. Curled back above. A little bit of a sell-off, choppiness, indecision about what it wanted to do, but it was holding above VWAP with a rising VWAP. Dollar volume was 125 million on the day, and getting a little bit of volume in the morning session here. The float on this one as well is 7.8 million, which is a good sign as well that it could have had some more squeeziness potential in it. Sure enough, it did shoot a little bit higher, but then ultimately, just slammed back down with all these waterfalls hitting it back under VWAP, and this VWAP retouch here to the downside was kind of the last hoorah that it had. And yeah, peeled back up a little bit back above VWAP, but then ultimately died off on the day. So really not a lot of opportunity on that one, and just, again, so choppy. And you had to set such wide risk levels for really such smaller reward levels at that point too. It's just hard on these ones with these big percentage movers now in the August month. AHPI, oh my gosh, this was awesome. Monaco made like 10 grand on this one, buying it pre-market for how well it was holding, and then selling into the strength here. Great, he had a great point on the next one that I'm gonna mention too, but especially just on this one, this price Dewey ticker, how well it's holding this overall trend here. That one, just continuing to move to the upside with strength. It's a low floater. I believe it's a low floater. Yeah, 3.4 million float. Holding these levels well, gapping up in the pre-market. If you get any amount of volume, this thing could just push insane hard to the upside. It loves to do that pre-market and right away at market open. And that was the trade definitely on this one. And then huge sell-off back to those previous days levels here during the afternoon session and right away in the morning session. Very interesting. Remove. There we go. And then NAOV. So this was the one that Monaco mentioned as well too. He had a great point on this one in small cap recaps. Looking back, obviously, on the daily, it's holding its breakout and parabolic move well. We're getting this little bit of an uptrend here on the daily. And he even pointed out to, what do you call it, the intra-daily, where you're taking these types of, it's not necessarily the intraday, it's not necessarily the daily, but you're looking at this on a bigger picture time scale and kind of taking this as if it was an intraday pattern to see, okay, we're getting a morning spike, a little bit of a sell-off, but consolidating well into the afternoon, holding levels well, really not dying off, building a little bit more volume coming in and shooting out the shorts into the close, or what is today in this sense. That was a great move to the upside. Of course, that because of that, there was no news catalyst. This was just, that's the move that it was today. Yesterday, it had news in the morning for registration approval for Pain Shield from TGA Australia, whatever. Fundamentals in this one, 22 million float, reported short interest of less than 1%. That was a great move to the upside. Even intraday well, too. If you're trying to play the breakout move on this one, as it's pushing, this is more of an awesome breakout opportunity, as it's, okay, you could call this one a breakout, but even this doji candle is selling off, and you're also having to take this loss here, not a loss, but pullback after that breakout. Once again, that really didn't confirm the trend, but this breakout, of course, with strength, was the final hard push that produced an awesome percentage move to the upside. That was a really nice trade if you got in on that one for that breakout intraday at least, and then held decently well if you're playing, this is midday around this time frame, but curling back above VWAP, bouncing pretty well off of it. Then you get a spike above, consolidation spike above. So it would have been decent to hold, besides these little red wicked candles that have nice bottom wicks. But playing into any of that point here, even after this sell-off, you're getting price action right back to that point, at least to take profits here from any of these areas. Not a full awesome 10%, but a little bit of an opportunity on that one. And then NSAV, last one I wanted to mention as an OTC ticker. This one, again, has been kind of queen of the ball in the OTC market, other than like HPIL and some other ones. Had this huge sell-off day and then bouncing off of, I guess, some of like CEO news or something along those lines. Today and yesterday. So here we got today, yesterday, and today here, and this is a little separator. Morning spike out of the open today, then sell-off, then reclaim, push for new high a day try, not being able to do it, sell off, but then comes back again, hovering around, and then blah, dies off, sells off after that failed breakout attempt. Not the most crazy panic sell off, but that's just cool price action to watch and see on a mini scale what we really hope and want to see on a huge and major scale on these OTCs in the future, when there is insane dollar volume being pushed through these tickers. But that's all I had today. Again, just another learning day, and really don't really even know if I'm supposed to be spending all this mental capital on training and researching and studying from this type of market setup, or really at this point too, I should take a lesson from the big names that are not really even trading this market. They're just doing other things. They're clearing their mind, freeing their mental capital for the opportunities that are going to come in the future. I don't have that luxury, obviously, at this point too, but it's just a struggle of, should I really be investing this much time and research mental capital on these moves today, of taking charts and jotting them down? Maybe doing that for the sense of, in the next summer months, for next years to come, knowing what types of patterns work, how these tickers want to move, what you should be really ready to expect at this point in time for next summers to come, which is how I can look at it now. But yeah, we're certainly keeping the red streak alive. And again, the P&L really doesn't matter to me whatsoever at this point. It's all about the learning, and my position sizes are, of course, reflecting in that I'm not throwing any weight really of huge size unless I'm 100% confident, or we get a crazy panic dip buy in the OTC market, which I would feel totally confident in going after, or a good dip and rip for seeing some nice technical levels hold. I would certainly be confident in throwing bigger position sizes on it. But shorts, especially now, I'm refraining a lot because in the pre-market, because I have not seen really any workout lately. I'm even waking up a little bit later, giving myself some more time to sleep in, because that pre-market's just not offering those shorts that I felt I was seeing. Giving myself a little bit more time to do some scans and watching less YouTube video, or just even getting away from the computer at this point too. Getting myself some more sunshine and more clarity on the perspective that I need to have in this type of market. That yes, there is money to be made 100%, but that doesn't mean that you can make that money or that money is best suited to you and your trading style. So that's just how I had to think about it. This is just crazy animal of day trading, and it's totally exciting. I'm 100% still excited to wake up every single day and see what's moving, see what's going to happen, see how other people are looking at the market too, the different perspectives that come in on all of this. It's just totally awesome, and excited every single day by it. So I thank you guys for watching. We will catch you guys on the next one.